Hello, hello, happy day, happy life, happy journey. It's a good day. It's a good God day. Yes, indeed. I'm feeling the spirit. Are you feeling the spirit? Spirit in the dark. All right. Oh my God, this is completely sober. It's really good to feel this way because it's been some heavy energy. It's been a lot of heavy energy, and I've been moving through it myself, really working with it, really feeling, sometimes not working with it, sometimes feeling overwhelmed by it, right? I'm wondering how you guys are feeling. There's been a lot going on. And I was hoping that the topic today, Nothing Exists, would, hey Sarah, Arietta, hello. Great to see you guys. I was hoping the topic today would have people go, what the hell is this guy talking about? Nothing exists. And I wanted to talk about it because I've been seeing a lot of posts, a lot of interviews. You know, what happens, we do this, I do this, we all do this. We have an opinion, and then we want to go find out from others if they agree with us. So we look for agreement reality. We create this reality. Hey, great, thanks Tara Lee. I'm glad you're feeling it. I'm feeling it too. Feeling it. You got to say it like that. You can't say I'm feeling it. You have to say I'm feeling it. So, okay. Which is what you wrote. You wrote that. You said, I'm feeling it. So, back. Here we go. Yeah, ADHD. It's crazy. Shiny object. Ooh. Okay. Squirrel. I'm going to focus now. So I've been seeing a lot of posts around people getting agreement reality, right? So, and I see this with people that I send. You know, I heard an article the other day, and I wanted to send it to somebody who I know has a different opinion. Like, hey, check this out. Underneath that really is, how could you not see what they're saying? How could you not agree with what they're saying? Anybody reasonable would agree with this, right? And the thought that came up to me as I was chatting with Jerry a little earlier today, you know, it's not, I know that our nation, you know, there are Democrats that are going to vote Democrat no matter what. And there are Republicans that are going to go Republican no matter what, right? Those are die-hard voters for that side. And then there are those people in the middle, the actual real swing voters. I am not a swing voter. Typically, I'm right in my lane. And that's okay. The point is, you know, do we wring our hands and go, oh my God, we're a nation divided, and in this nation divided, and we'll never get together? No, it's actually perfectly fine that we're a nation divided in our camps. What is lacking is civil conversation about it, right? That's really where we need to land. Is the democracy is predicated on us speaking our truths to each other in a way that is, honors both sides. I disagree with you wholeheartedly, but I'll defend to the death your right to say it, right? That's really what we must be engaged in right now, is talking to people who have different beliefs, different ideas than we do in a civil way, so that we can understand each other. From there, something will happen. We don't have to give up our tried and true political positionings, right? We just need to be able to listen to the other side with respect. So I want to say hi to folks that have tuned in. Chad, hello from Panama City Beach. Is that just down the street from me in Panama? Hey, brother. I know our borders are closed right now, but soon we'll be going back and forth between Panama and Costa Rica. Elizabeth, hello. Virginia from Toronto. Hello, Toronto. Jennifer, Dorota. Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining. I think there's a few more folks that have sent some in. So if I'm missing your comment, you know, the new feed, I don't get all the comments. So if I'm missing you, please forgive me, and thank you for tuning in. So here's this idea that we get these agreement reality. We look in the algorithms that feed us our news feed on social media and on the internet. They're also geared towards giving us agreement reality. So I come across this several posts where people are saying, one side, news article, systemic racism is everywhere, we're all racist, it's ingrained in the system, it's the base, other posts about the police system, police force was developed to rein in slaves and then became a labor modulator, and the history of the policing in the United States. We hear all of on that side, right? And then there's this other side that's like, racism doesn't exist. And I heard an interview with Morgan Freeman saying, stop talking about it. Stop talking about it. Racism doesn't exist. Only exists if you talk about it. Right? Well, then that stops people, right? Because they're like, well, there's a black man who's saying racism doesn't exist. Economic disadvantage doesn't exist. Now, I could immediately be like, that's completely wrong. I disagree, turning that off. Right? But there's this idea in my heart is, these opinions, these dualities, nothing exists. Nothing exists. Because it's all ephemeral and changing. There's only one thing that exists, that actually exists, that's actually real, and that is eternal and unchanging. So really, there's a kind of a multidimensional chess game going on here, right? I was talking to David Richardson of the Hermetic Philosophy Institute, and he used that example, and I really liked it, so I want to give credit where credit is due. And there's like this ground level is the realm of duality where this side and that side and racist and not racist and all of those things going on. Then there's that's actually what's happening, right? Division, fighting. Then there's this noosphere. Reverend Michael calls it the noosphere. Jung calls it the collective unconscious. We can call it race consciousness. It is the realm of our sort of collective thought, right? And then there's the mind of God. Now, of course, there's many different levels. I certainly don't have a crystal ball that shows me the nature of reality and all of its multifacets. But for the sake of this conversation, let's say there's three. There's the duality, there's our sort of collective mental understanding of it, the race consciousness and how things emerge in that. And then there's God's mind, the mind of God, the infinite, the realm of infinite possibility, the unified field, the quantum field, whatever we want to call that. That's real. Invisible, unseen, and real. Back behind everything, the singular energy that is transferred and conveyed into various forms, that has no beginning and no end, never ceased to exist, not for a microsecond, because if it ever ceased to exist, it wouldn't exist now. So there's that realm of truth, the realm of absolute love, absolute beauty, absolute creativity, excellence, power, abundance, life force, all of it exists there. And follow me on this, right? So there's that truth that we're all one. And then there's this truth, we're really different. I am not a member of the Tea Party. I am not, whatever. I'm not Antifa. I'm not Breitbart. I'm not liberal. I'm not conservative. Whatever it is, right? There's that level of duality. And everything seems really, really separate. But we know that that's an appearance. That's a falsity. For the truth is singular source that supplies all of the duality. So I want to continue this conversation and go back to this idea that racism doesn't exist. and I want to look at the dictionary definition of racism. So I looked it up in the dictionary, and it is no overt prejudice or discrimination, antagonism directed against someone different from a different race, different than us, based on a belief that one's own race is superior. I would suggest that that's a very limited definition of racism. Dr. Jeff McNary, our director, chief medical officer, medical director here at Rythmia, gives a great example of the Museum of Tolerance in Los Angeles. And when you walk into the Museum of Tolerance, there's two doors. One door says, all here who have no bias enter. And the other door says, people with biases and issues and prejudices enter here. And you go to the door that says no bias, and it doesn't open, right? Because everybody has a bias. We're talking here about the nature of duality, subject-object, right? There's no way that I can move in this world without having some distinction that somebody is different than me, something is different than me. I'm not the door, I'm not the light, I'm not the tree, I'm not you, I'm me. That is a basic formation of our understanding in the realm of duality, subject and object. I am a consciousness looking out at something. Now, from a spiritual level, we're one. But in the level of this reality, I'm not the saber-toothed tiger, and I don't want to be. I need to run. That's what and I want to talk about that. That there's this, that bias is imbued within us on a cellular level, from our limbic brain, from our languaging, all trumpets to us, all signals to us, division and separation, and it is ingrained within us from the way we speak about things. For I wouldn't know what something is unless I knew what it wasn't. I can't know what light is unless I know what darkness is. I can't know what hot is unless I know what cold is. I need to have metaphor. It's the basic understanding of our basic linguistic understanding. Metaphor is the comparison of two dissimilar things in order to bring understanding of one unknown. I don't know what that is. I know what this is, so I'm going to compare the two so I can bring understanding. The example is our ancient ancestors heard the thunder and called it Zeus, right? That sounds like an angry man, but it's not like any angry man I know. I don't know what that is. I know what an angry man is. I'm going to call it Zeus. Now I have an understanding. Now at least I've brought some understanding, some association that brings that a little bit closer to my level of awareness. So from a very basic, fundamental linguistic level, division and distinction are necessary for the way our brain works, and everything is based on that. Everything is based on our linguistic understanding. It's the way our consciousness is developed. And so we can't deny that. And it serves us. From our limbic brain, we have a negativity bias. From our most ancient ancestors, we needed to know that saber-toothed tiger was not me. I need to have separation and distinction. Saber-toothed tiger, bad. Me, good. Run this way, right? That's what we're talking about. Let me just check in here. Okay, I'm going to acknowledge these folks, but I want to continue, and then I want to acknowledge everybody. Thank you all so much for your comments. So I think we need to look at a definition. Oh, based on the limbic brain. So we're trained on a genetic evolutionary level to see distinction and to see difference. We have to look for the negative. We have to look for that which is possibly going to harm us. That's built in on a cellular genetic level. So we are not simply at the throes of our genetic programming or our linguistic understanding. We are sentient beings who have the ability to think about what we're thinking about. That's consciousness. We have the ability to think about what we're thinking about, so we can think about, I have this built-in bias for distinction, built-in bias for difference, built-in linguistical bias to distinguish things by knowing what something is by what it's not, by distinguishing myself from another. And so I would assert that our definition of racism must be expanded to a more subtle, unexamined beliefs or assumptions or biases. And then we can see we're all racist. Racist to the extent that there's something in another person that has us, that cues an old unexamined belief or pattern that says, I know something about that person. It could be good, it could be bad. It could be uplifting, it could be denigrating. We don't, the point is that the awareness that we have a bias of some sort. That's the first level of awareness. And, you know, we talked about language being instinctually based on, or, you know, based on distinction. I want to bring to you an ancient teaching from Gorgias. Gorgias was the subject of a dialogue written by Plato. Plato didn't like Gorgias, neither did Socrates. Gorgias was a rhetorician, and he and the dialecticians didn't like the sophists. The sophists were rhetoricians, and the dialecticians were the Platonists, and they didn't like each other. And so the dialecticians said, you know, oh, this dude Gorgias, he's not interested in virtue. He's interested just in persuasion. And Gorgias is saying, there's no such thing as virtue, or to me, virtue means good, the good, right? So they're having this argument. And Gorgias writes an argument out to piss Plato off. And he does. Plato writes a whole dialogue pretty much shitting on Gorgias because Gorgias did this and pissed him off. And Gorgias' statement was very simple. He said, nothing exists. Nothing exists. 1. 2, if it existed, it would be incomprehensible. We couldn't even comprehend it. 3, if it was comprehensible, it would be incommunicable. Now, I'm talking about an argument that's taking place around 300 BC. Just saying. Been around for a while. This argument is very interesting because Gorgias is showing the difficulty of language, the difficulty of comprehending, and the difficulty of communication through language by saying two things at once. I just got a really crazy notification that my laptop is going to die. So I'm going to take a quick second and plug this in very quickly and then get back to our riveting conversation about Gorgias. Hang in there with me, folks. I don't want to lose you. I'll go back to singing. All right, we got power. Woohoo! All right. So, Gorgias is saying nothing exists. He's saying two things at once. First, nothing exists. All of existence is not. Everything that you see, touch, feel, hear does not exist. And the second thing he's saying is that nothing, empty space, vacuousness, antimatter, whatever you want to call it, nothing exists. It actually exists. So he's playing with language and showing the difficulty of our linguistic systems and showing the difficulty of communicating it, right? Language is always once removed. The map is not the terrain. The word chair and the word map is not the map, right? So if you're looking at a map and you're talking about the map, now you're 3 levels removed from the very thing that we're talking about. So this is the difficulty of language. This is the difficulty of our linguistic system based on distinction, and we are imbued with bias based on our philosophical outlook, which is linguistic. Language is a philosophy. The way we see the world is articulated in the way we speak our language. In English, especially American English, it's very direct and truncated. And I'll take this one example. We say, the buck stops here, right? Everything is sort of based on, I have personal responsibility. And that's like, I am responsible for my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, pull on your big boy pants, all these sayings, right? Like you have a responsibility. In Spanish, or we say, I got in a car accident. I forgot my keys. I left my keys. In Spanish, they say, se me olvidó mis llaves. They use the reflexive. The keys were forgotten. No, I don't know who did it, but they were left. The cars got in an accident. The cars got in the accident. It was a big cars, right? So I'm showing here how language is a way that we look at the world. It signifies that which we are, the way in which we see the world. So it all signifies that we have a bias built into the very way we speak and think about the world. And we know that all of this resolves in the eternal. We know that all of it resolves into oneness, beauty, love, wholeness, peace. And it is, as those vibrational frequencies lower, we walk into this realm of distinction. So we must look at our individual beliefs, the race consciousness, and keep our mind of God mentality fresh and alive. And we look here, now the invitation, with all of this awareness, right? The intention of this talk was to bring awareness to the fact, we're going to hear all sorts of things. Racism exists, racism doesn't exist, this is happening, this isn't happening, Republican, conservative, all of these dualities. And our job is to see through the appearances towards the wholeness. It is not to deny the reality of those dualities. It is not to say, I should feel differently. It's simply to acknowledge that within the duality, there is a singularity, that the duality is just an expression of one thing, hot and cold. Where does hot become cold? This is the Hermetic law of polarity, right? Where does hot become cold and cold become hot? Because I can set the thermostat at 72 in the winter, and that's hot. I can set it at 72 in the summer, and that's cold. So what is 72? So the idea is that the duality, the poles are an expression of a singular thing. So there's just a spectrum, and they're formed by each other. So liberals and conservatives are just a continuation of one thing, and they're formed in relation to each other. Black and white, gay and straight, rich and poor, just a continuation of the same thing, formed in relation to each other. Our job and the invitation is to see through the appearances and towards the oneness. The consciousness that heals is the consciousness that sees wholeness everywhere. That is our job. That is the invitation. How do we do that? We clean our own house. We examine our own beliefs. We stay open. Examining our beliefs is not I'm going to sit down for 20 minutes and examine my beliefs. Examining my beliefs is a lifelong endeavor. Constantly, this has been the engine of growth behind science to a certain degree, constantly being willing to question its own assumptions. We must take a page from that playbook and constantly question our own assumptions and constantly reach around to the other side. We have to reach across constantly to move outside of our own personal sense of what I believe what you're saying or not, and into a realm of honest and open dialogue that we can talk to each other about our differing opinions and believe that the liberal or conservative, Republican or Democrat, we're all citizens of the human race. We're citizens of this planet. And all of us are in it together. And none of us are going to get over to the finish line unless all of us do. So the invitation is a continuous awareness. The invitation is to bring continuous awareness to our own beliefs and assumptions, to do our internal work of bringing peace within our own temple of the Most High. To our own Holy of Holies, we must bring peace. We must bring love. We must bring that for ourselves, for as within, so without. We must, as above, so below. As we bring the awareness of that mind of God mentality, that no matter what the appearances are and the person I'm speaking to, I'm talking to God. we bring that awareness as above, so below. Then, so within, it will be without. It will be in our externalized experience. So it's all here. Whether it's going here or going there, it's all here. All here. Come back to the subject. Come back to our own examination. Relentless rigor in terms of examining our own beliefs, our own opinions, our own actions. We must bring that awareness relentlessly. All right, I think that's it. Let's look and see. I want to acknowledge all these beautiful people that chimed in. Let's see. Jeremy, hey buddy. Juliet, Ariette from Mexico. Hola hermana. Me encanta México. Viví en Guadalajara por 2 años. Estaba enseñando. Me encanta. Tracy from New Jersey. Hey, hey. PC Beach, Florida. Oh, Chad's in Panama City Beach, Florida. Okay. From Florida, Kayla, Elizabeth, hello. Dorota, Brandon. Hey, hey. Great to see you guys. Gerda, Virginia. Thank you, Virginia. Jerry, love it. Robin. And Amsterdam, Rani, thank you, Rani. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's been a pleasure. I wish you so much love, so much peace, so much joy, that the deep realization of your own oneness with the source of all of life outpictures in a continuous awareness of more good than you've ever imagined, experienced, or manifested before. Health of body, peace of mind, and all material needs met. And so it is. Blessings. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.